Prime Time Local News, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Well, happy Wednesday, everybody, on this rainy day here at Primetime Local News. Connor Chan and Abby St. John here to bring you all the stuff we have on today's show, including with our question of the day segment, kind of a fun one since we're always kind of glued to our phones now. We asked, what's the first cell phone that you ever owned?
I owned a Samsung Link. I don't even know if they make them anymore. I doubt it because of smartphones. But my dad wouldn't let me get a slide phone because he thought for some reason that I would slide it completely off. But so yeah, it was just a flat phone.
Just no?
No.
Well, I had a Motorola Razr, and that turned out pretty well for the most part. But we're going to get to some of those comments and have that discussion a little later on in the show. But right now, let's send over to Eric Bay, who is on location.
Thanks, guys. Well, today we are out here at Noralta Jiu-Jitsu, and we are going to be talking with Dave Woods about their Keychain Self-Defense Seminar that has come up this weekend, and you can check it out here. They'll have these available, and they'll teach you a few different moves and actually show a few different things on myself as well. We'll be talking some pressure points and also a few different classes that they do have available here to sign up for. So we're going to have all that more coming up over the show, but first we're going to go back into the studio where Abby has a look at your local news.
Today at Ecole St. Thomas, grade 2 students participated in an Indigenous Culture Day, and our Jasmine King has the details of how this helped give students a closer approach to the learning.
Drumming, one part of the Indigenous culture that students were learning. The activities were part of a day that was meant to teach the students in a more intriguing way.
Engaging in an Indigenous celebration. This is just in advance of Aboriginal Day and gives them the opportunity to learn and to grow in their knowledge of what it means to be partners with Cree people who are here locally and Indigenous people from all across Canada.
This was the first time they held this event, and as students are learning about the culture throughout every grade, it gives them a chance to learn hands-on.
We're going to learn why did they make a totem and why did they use the canoe and what was the important about all of these things this afternoon. So I think it's a learning that they will remember because they're playing at the same time. And usually kids learn well while playing.
There were different types of activities at the school: canoes, totems, a drum circle, flags, and beatings. These students got to be creative and take part in the activities that interested them the most.
Probably doing the canoes. I like doing totems because I like representing stories.
Introducing the kids to the culture early on in their education has long-lasting effects on them as they grow older.
They don't have these stereotypes, and I think it's at a younger age where we can have the most learning about different cultures and to just be open. We have a school with a lot of different cultures, and we felt it was a good opportunity to have them learn about Indigenous people.
The event was also another way to celebrate National Indigenous Peoples Day, which takes place on the 21st. Jasmine King, Primetime Local News.
Lloydminster was literally taken by storm last Thursday when a severe wave of rain came crashing through the border city. Trees and branches falling, garbage bins blowing over, and buildings like the Grace United Church feeling the force of the rain. Our Josh Park reports.
A classic summer storm. After a warm, sunny Thursday, Lloydminster was hit with what seemed like a hurricane in the prairies. 27 millimeters of rain, mostly within a 20-minute window, that left its mark within the community. Grace United Church was one of those places that fell victim to the storm.
We've got a bit of a drainage problem in the back alley, so we had a lot of water come in through the back doors into the church. We had a recital that night, and when I got here, there was like couple of inches of water throughout our new hall here where we're standing.
Damage done essentially all throughout the back end and basement of the building. Flooring having to be completely pulled, drywall and baseboards fully soaked, and roofing and electrical also taking damage. All the aftermath of a shocking sight that welcomed Howell Thursday night.
I was shocked. Yeah, I think it was kind of quite an unusual event. I mean, we've been in this new building for a couple of years now, and we've never had an occurrence like this. But there was so much rain.
The damage right now may feel horrible, but a week later, some positives are beginning to surface.
There's not as much demo that we had to do here than we first anticipated.
The timetable for the aftermath of a storm like this can be hard to determine. For now, Howell and the church are preparing for what could be a timely repair.
The estimate is it's going to be a couple of months before we get everything completely dried out, and if we have to do some resurfacing of floors and whatnot, it's going to take a while.
Josh Park, Primetime Local News.
The Arts Without Borders Festival continues to put people in the seats.
The Sioux have always been known for their design.
The Brown Bag Film Festival is an opportunity for people to gather and watch independent documentaries from the National Film Board of Canada. The films give people a chance to learn more about Canadian history.
You know, just a chance to explore, and with these things, we're looking at our history. It's a history in a form that is actually far more accessible sometimes than books. So you can look at our culture and our history, looking at some of this stuff, dealing with and taking a look at stuff that we have that makes us who we are.
The films also present an opportunity to understand our past and where we are headed now.
I think the more we know about where we've come from, we can see where we're going, and the more we can actually sort of shape where we're going to. It's like, we can learn from not just our mistakes that we've done in the past, but the successes. Thinking, well, this was a good thing. Why aren't we still doing it?
If you want to catch a Brown Bag Film featured screening, they've got one more showing tomorrow at noon at the Public Library. Now we're going to Eric Bay, who is on location today.
Once again, we are back here at Noralta Jiu-Jitsu here in Lloydminster, and I'm joined now by Dave Woods. And now, Dave, we were talking a little bit off camera. Right. Can you talk a little bit more about kind of your background in martial arts?
Absolutely. I have 35 years of martial arts training this month. I started with karate back in 1984, then moved on to specialized defensive tactics when I became a law enforcement officer. So that was pressure points, use of force continuum, a lot of legal background. And then we did, from there I went into jiu-jitsu, and I started Can Ryu Jiu-Jitsu, which is the Canadian style of Jiu-Jitsu, back in 1999 for my 30th birthday. So I've been doing that now for 50 years. Sorry, I'm 50 now. I've been doing it for 20 years. It feels like 50 sometimes. And then after that, I came out to Alberta here in 2010, opened up a school here for Alberta in 2012, and I was teaching out in the communities. Then in January, I was offered the opportunity to open up a school here in Lloydminster full-time. And so now, since January, I've been running Noralta Jiu-Jitsu here in Lloydminster for full-time classes from Monday all the way through to Sunday.
All right, perfect. Thank you for joining us here. We're going to have a little bit more from back here with Dave Woods, but first we are going to go back into the studio.
All right, thanks very much, Eric. Taking a look at your current temperature right now, 12 degrees right now with some showers. It's going to continue that way over the next little bit here in next couple of days as well. Winds, though, pretty light right now, but they possibly could pick up as we are under a severe thunderstorm watch right now with the south and southeast winds coming in at 8 kilometers an hour. So records for this time of year, 29 degrees was our warmest temperature on this day back in 1987, while 6 degrees was our coolest back in 1991. As we take a look at the satellite radar map, lots of activity, especially on that Edmonton area. They are currently under a rainfall warning. So lots of activity, lots of precipitation activity for Alberta right now, as well as for us here in Lloydminster over the next couple of days. As we take a look at the watches or warnings, Edmonton, as I did mention, they are under a rainfall warning, as well as out west there. They possibly could see 75 millimeters of rain up until Friday. And then for us here in Lloydminster, we possibly could be seeing close to 30 millimeters of rain over the course of the next few days. We are under a severe thunderstorm watch as of right now. But as we take a look at some other temperatures right now, 14 for Cold Lake, 10 in Athabasca, 8 degrees in Edmonton, 11 for Red Deer, 12 in Jasper, 9 degrees in Edson, 10 for Rocky Mountain House. Over out in Saskatchewan, 16 degrees for North Battleford, 24 in both Melfort, Saskatoon, and Prince Albert, and 25 degrees in Meadow Lake. As we take a look at some regional temperatures, go a little more in-depth, 10 degrees overnight in North Battleford with some showers that'll carry over into tomorrow with a high of 16 degrees. Cold Lake, they'll have some showers overnight, and will also translate to tomorrow with a high of 19 for their daytime high. And for us here in Lloydminster, 10 degrees overnight. We'll definitely see some rain rain pick up a little bit more with a high of 16 for tomorrow as the daytime high. So here is a look at the next 3 days. Might see some sun on Friday though, with a 60% chance of some showers there with a high of 20, and then a high of 19 for Saturday with some cloud coverage and possibly some sun there as well. Averaging usually around 21 degrees for daytime highs usually, and then averaging around 9 degrees for the daytime lows for this time of year. But that's a first look at your weather. We'll have more primetime local news coming up.
Prime time local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Welcome back. Well, music is a huge part of everyday life, especially within school. In this week's Beyond the Classroom, I take a look at the LPSD band program. Throughout LPSD, all grade 6 students participate in the band program. After grade 6, band becomes optional.
It's the way we offer the music programming in LPSD. There are a number of things that contribute to us having it be that way. From a music teacher's perspective, it is vital for all children to have access to a quality music education.
Being a part of band not only gives you knowledge about music, but also creates an environment of belonging.
You know, for me, one of the things that drew me into band programming as a kid was the fact that it was like my tribe. There were a bunch of people that shared interests that I had. You know, I mean, certainly there were the musical benefits, but there are a ton of social benefits to it as well.
Throughout the school year, the band program puts on a variety of different concerts.
So every band program within the division have their own way of doing things in terms of concerts and so on. We all generally will do a concert in December that we call a Christmas concert or a winter concert. We all do a spring concert at the end of the year. That's a celebration of everything coming together that they've learned all year long.
Annually, all the grade 6 bands put on one big concert all together. And that's it for this week's Beyond the Classroom.
Beyond the Classroom is brought to you by Lakeland College. Apply today to heavy oil power engineering or second-class power engineering programs at the Lloydminster campus. Lakeland College, leading learning since 1913.
Welcome back. Well, there has been some relief for drought-stricken parts of southern Saskatchewan. The Weather Office says weekend rain of up to 65 millimeters in some areas has provided badly needed moisture to farm fields. Western Canadian Wheat Growers Chair Jim Wickett says the rain was welcome. Ray Orb of the Saskatchewan Association of Rural Municipalities says more rain is needed, and the group may be talking soon with federal and provincial officials about a drought plan. He is concerned about feed supplies for livestock producers and some water supply issues. Last week, the Agriculture Producers Association of Saskatchewan called on the provincial and federal governments for drought aid. Regina, Moose Jaw, and Saskatoon received only a trace of rain. And the founder of Beyond Meat says the transition from meat to plant-based alternatives will unleash a new era of agriculture productivity. Ethan Brown says Canada is well positioned to benefit. The patties and sausages of the Californian company that are made from plant proteins have stormed the stock market. Beyond Meat sells products made from peas, canola oil, mung beans, and rice protein that contain no soy, gluten, or genetically modified foods. Brown says in addition to the health benefits of the products, he believes that if water and farmland could be used to grow vegetables and other plants, the amount of food produced for people would increase exponentially. And that's it for eggs. Sports is next, but first, here's a look at your egg prices.
Every member of the City Centre Auto Body team has been through extensive training. We're constantly upgrading our team's education to reflect current collision repair technique.
The Prairie Pirates enjoyed a rare weekend off and now face their biggest series of the season thus far. The Pirates have a rematch with the Saskatoon Giants, one of the top teams in the province. While there were no major injuries, the weekend break should provide a boost for the team.
I have minor things kind of thing that they just wanted to rest, but with such small numbers, it kind of hurts to play them, but we have no other choice. So the weekend is good, and asking the guys at the beginning of practice, and everyone's feeling 100%, so we're pretty excited for that.
McKim believes that the inconsistency issues thus far this season are starting to improve.
It's a game of muscle memory kind of thing, so as long as they're ready to play and can do what they practice.
Game time is 1 p.m. Saturday and 4 p.m. Sunday. And now we're going to Eric Bay, who is on location today.
Once again, we are back here at Noralta Jiu-Jitsu, and Dave Woods joins me once again. And now last time we talked a little bit about your background in martial arts, but now can we talk a little bit about what you guys do actually offer here at Noralta Jiu-Jitsu?
Absolutely. Well, we have courses for kids or students from 4 all the way up to into your late adults. We have 4 to 6 year olds, which is our Ready Set Ki program. That program is basically developing the students' basics in martial arts training. So they're learning their stances, they're learning crawling, rolling, their left from their right. That's kind of important for 4 to 6 year olds. We have a 7 to 13 year old Karate Kids program, which is based in my experience in Shotokan Karate, which I have 13 years Shotokan Karate experience. So what I do is I take that and I teach the 7 to 13 year olds if they feel like teaching or learning karate. And then the also 7 to 13 year olds, if they feel like going into jiu-jitsu, which is a Japanese style of martial art, Japanese style of jiu-jitsu, sorry, then I teach them the Japanese style of jiu-jitsu, which is basically mirrored to our adult curriculum. And then the 14-year-olds and up, we teach adult jiu-jitsu, which is our hold escapes, our throws, our takedowns, pressure points, and essentially street self-defense techniques. In that program, I teach them not only their physical skills, but I'm also teaching them their verbalization skills, so that we can, if we are, heaven forbid, ever attacked, then I teach them how to verbally communicate in a loud, authoritative manner. 1, hopefully to scare off their attacker. 2, to maybe gain a crowd so that people can see what's happening, and then they can, what we call prepping our witnesses, right? We can get our witnesses out there, and also possibly to summon help from other people as well.
All right, thank you for that. We're going to have a little bit more talking about that self-defense technique, and Dave is going to show us a little bit about that here coming up. But first, we are going to go back into the studio.
All right, thanks very much, Eric. Taking a look at some other current temperatures right now. Still 12 degrees for us here in Lloydminster, 13 for Vermilion and Provost right now, 10 out in Marwayne, 14 for Cold Lake, 16 in Bonnyville, 15 in Lac-La-Biche, 13 for St. Paul, 11 in Vegreville, and 8 degrees out in Edmonton, 14 for Maidstone, 16 for North Battleford, 25 for Meadow Lake, 22 for Green Lake, 24 in Isle La Crosse, and 18 degrees out at St. Walburg. As we take a look at some other Saskatchewan temperatures, 25 degrees for La Loche, Buffalo Narrows out in Flin Flon as well, 26 in La Ronge, 27 degrees out in South End, 20 in Wollaston Lake, 27 for Stony Rapids, 25 for Uranium City as we make our way to Alberta, 24 for Fort McMurray, 23 degrees up in Fort Chipewyan, 14 in Peace River, 17 for High Level, 10 degrees for Slave Lake, and 13 for Grand Prairie right now. As we shift over to southern Alberta, 18 degrees for Medicine Hat currently, 15 degrees out in Lethbridge, 12 for Calgary, 9 out in Coronation, 11 degrees out in Banff. As we shift over to southern Saskatchewan, 11 degrees for Kindersley right now, 13 degrees for Swift Current, 17 for Moose Jaw, 14 out in Regina, and 22 degrees in both Yorkton and Estevan. Take a look at temperatures for tomorrow, though. 16 degrees will be our daytime high, as we are currently right now under a severe thunderstorm watch as of this moment. Now, we could see some rainfall, possibly up to maybe 30 millimeters throughout the week. And then, of course, if you are heading out to Edmonton, they are expecting about 75 millimeters by the end of the week here. So 16 degrees is the common number for the area here. 16 for also Vermilion, Vegreville, St. Paul, Maidstone, North Battleford, and Provost and Wainwright. 15 out in Macklin, 17 for St. Walburg, 22 for Meadow Lake for tomorrow, 23 for Green Lake tomorrow, 15 degrees out in Edmonton for tomorrow, 18 degrees for Lac-La-Biche, and 19 out in Cold Lake and in Bonnyville. Bonnyville. So here is a look at the next 48 hours, the amount of precipitation we could get. So we're kind of in the green, so we'll see that 15 millimeters, and by Thursday morning, we could bump that up to possibly to 25 millimeters. You can kind of see in the red area there, that is the Edmonton area there. That is going to be getting a very high majority of it, so possibly 40 millimeters for that Friday afternoon. It will continue to be that way over the next couple of days, but for us here at Lloydminster, we possibly could see the 30 millimeters for most of several days later this week, as that yellow indicates 25, and then maybe even the 30 millimeters of rain that we are expecting. So here is a look at the next 7 days for you. 20 degrees on Friday with still a 60% chance of some showers there. 19 degrees for Saturday with mostly cloudy skies and a bit of sun, and with a 64% chance of some rain there. So it's not going to be a bit of a break there on Sunday with a high of 20 degrees with some cloud coverage there. Going into Monday, 60% chance of rain there with a high of 19. 22 degrees on Tuesday. We're kind of out in the clear, but we still have a 55% chance that we could see some showers there. 23 degrees for Wednesday with mostly cloudy skies and a bit of sun with a very low chance that we'll see some showers. So that could be where we get the break from the rain here. But that's a look at your 7-day forecast. We'll have more primetime local news coming up after the break.
Now we're going to Eric Bay, who is on location today.
Once again, we are back here at Noralta Jiu-Jitsu, talking again with Dave Woods. Now, we've been talking a little bit about your self-defense, including that keychain self-defense you guys have going on this Sunday. So can you just give a little background on those that you do offer?
Absolutely. So as I said, this Sunday from 10 until 3, we're offering a keychain seminar, which is basically something that you hold on to your keys with. So you don't lose your keys. It's a nice 5.5-inch object that sticks right in your pocket and you don't lose your keys. We use that, and we also have women's self-defense courses that we teach throughout the summer, and we also have child abduction prevention classes from 4-year-olds all the way up to 16-year-olds. And so right now what I'd like to show is just a little bit of what we are going to be teaching here in the keychain seminar this Sunday.
Yeah, how about it? I'd love to see what you guys have going on.
Awesome,
for sure.
Fantastic. All right, so I have my assistant here, Tyler. He's going to be in a fighting stance, so I take my keys out. I don't want to deal with this guy, so right now what I'm going to do is simply use the barrel and just go across his knuckles to move back. With the padding here, he doesn't feel it. Without the padding, he's going to be feeling it hard. So here I go, 1, 2, and I move back. Right, and that's my ideal situation, is I want to move away from that person and not have to deal with them. Now, with my other partner, we also teach hold escapes and how to use this in a say a grabbing type of situation. So if I can have Sheena come over, Sheena's going to demonstrate a technique on me. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab her around the waist from behind. She's going to take the tool and she's going to use it on a cluster of nerves in the back of my hand, and then from there she's going to drill me in the head, sternum, and go, Ryan, and out she goes. And again, that's the abduction prevention, or the assaultive prevention or escape technique that we're going to be using. All right?
All right, very impressive. Thank you for showing that. That was super fun to watch. We are going to have some more back from here at Noralta Jiu-Jitsu, but first we are going to go back into the studio.
Well, with our question of the day today, we all have one of these. Now, it's not secret anymore that we all have cell phones, but we asked on our question of the day, what was your first cell phone that you had? A few comments that are popular, and one of those Nokia flip phones. I think those were the very first kind of like maybe digital ones that they had. And then of course there's those ones where, as when I was talking to Heather Clagus earlier today, it's those ones where you pull the antenna up and pull that.
Yeah,
probably
the
like
really old ones.
Probably something from like the 90s, or those ones that are like the big bulky ones that are like probably they feel like 10 pounds in your hands there.
Like bricks basically.
Yeah, basically. And then there's other comment ones where it seems like a lot of people had the Motorola Razr as their very first
those were
phone.
really popular phones too. I think everyone wanted to have one when they first came out.
I was one of those people that had those, and of course it was more so I had to pay for minutes and with texting and stuff like that. I didn't get that until probably high school, where I had the unlimited texting, where it became more of a big deal.
Yeah, it got more and more, towards texting rather than calling as the years went on. So.
And then of course, you were saying, you had like a slide. You didn't almost had a slide phone, but then you had
I wanted a
one.
slide phone, but my dad wouldn't let me get it because for some reason he thought that I was just gonna slide the entire screen off. For some reason, I don't think I'd physically, I don't think I'd be able to do that. So I just had like the phone with no slide, no flipping, just the screen and the keyboard.
A lot of people were sending images of that, probably that exact phone as well. Then of course we all upgraded to those smartphones as well. One person said iPhone 4S is their first phone, which must be nice for them having that as your very first phone.
Yeah,
there.
Exactly.
I mean, we are in that day and age where we could possibly, where kids now could get their first phone as a smartphone.
Yeah, definitely.
I'd make my kids like do what I did, just get one of those like flip phones and make them learn how we did back in the day.
Fair enough.
Well, it's that time of the show right now where we get to take a look at your pets, because it's one of our favorite segments here on Primetime Local News. This is Casper.
Adorable. I love his little tongue is just sticking out.
He's very adorable. Next up, this is Goober and
Aw,
Nacho.
I love them.
Very
They're
adorable
so
dogs.
cute.
Very adorable. He looks happy, Goober.
Yeah.
This is Bean.
I love the name.
Very, very
And
precious.
just such a fluffy looking cat.
Next up, we have Kenna.
Oh, it's a corgi.
Yeah, with a life jacket on the
I
kayak.
love everything.
Very adorable. And this is Maggie. She's wearing a seatbelt, making sure everyone's driving safe.
Very adorable.
Who doesn't love dogs and car seats?
Exactly.
Wearing seatbelts like that. Well, if your pet was shown on today, you're automatically entered to win a Lloydminster Pet Pad gift card.
We want to see your pets. Send photos of your pet and their name to our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram to have them featured on Pet of the Day. Your name will be entered into a weekly draw for a gift certificate from the Pet Pad.
Furniture supplied by Furniture Gallery and Furniture House, downtown Lloydminster.
Debbie is joining us today from Synergy Credit Union, and Debbie is a member service representative supervisor. Debbie, thanks for joining us. We're going to talk about fraud today, and the first question is, how does a financial institution protect its members from fraud?
So just to give you a little background, we are all trained in gathering information and asking questions. We are regulated by FinTrack, and every year it's mandatory that we all take an anti-money laundering course.
Okay.
So with that anti-money laundering course, it helps us gather information and learn different skills. Through with anti-money laundering, there's all different ways of tracking fraud. So it could also be suspicious activity, money laundering, and layering of transactions. So with this transactions, what the people are trying to do is they're either using illegal funds from criminal activity. So it's either drug trafficking, fraud, or trafficking money. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to get the money through legitimate sources back into the economy. So the way they usually do this is they're either buying bonds, stocks, or property. So quite often they are doing multiple transactions, and when they do these transactions, they're trying to not tell you where the source of the funds are coming from, the owner of the transaction. So they do quite a few different tricks. So with our skills, we ask questions to try and prevent any of this happening. Quite often we hear over the front line our staff is being intrusive by when we ask questions. When we're asking questions, we are gathering information, and we're only doing this to try and to help you and prevent you from being scammed by a potential scam.
Okay, so who would be susceptible then? Is there a certain kind of I guess a type of person that might be susceptible, or is it pretty much anybody?
Everyone. So it's people who fall for things that are too good to be true, people who don't pay attention, and people that are also duped by people who they think they can trust.
Okay, and before we talk about some specific fraud attempts, what are some general rules that people can follow when it comes to frauds and scams?
Okay, so fraudsters are actually real people. They're walking around, you can come in contact with any time. So these people usually reach out to you either by phone, email, in person, even through the mail system. So every year, hundreds of Canadians' families are affected by fraud. That can become financially devastating to them.
And how is it that you can recognize some of these scams? I know a lot of people talk about the buy and sell sites are where these happen. Are there any things that people can look for?
So knowledge is very powerful. It's to protect yourself, ask questions. If all in doubt, ask your financial institution and the RCMP. So when often there's some scams, if it's too good to be true, question it.
So that's basically the bottom line and kind of the general rule, I guess, with thing is question everything, and if it looks like it's a really, really good offer that normally you wouldn't get, it might be a good idea to call, as you said, the bank or the RCMP.
Correct.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Debbie, and we'll be back again to chat more about frauds and scams.
Hey, it's Justin Marshall from Cool 101.3 in Bonnyville and Boom 95.3 in Cold Lake, and here's what's happening around the Lakeland. Well, coming up this Saturday, it's the second annual Cheer Force Jets Color Run. It's happening at the Cold Lake Energy Center. Warm-up starts at 9:45, and in behind me we have some painting, as this is the new home for the Cheer Force Jets. We got Cheer Force Jets boss Viola McNeil. And Viola, why did you guys decide to do the color run for the second year?
So when we started Cheer Force last year as our own entity, we had a discussion between parents of what fundraisers we could do, and we wanted to kind of try to find something other than selling chocolate, selling this, selling that. We wanted to try to do something that the community would really enjoy. So one of the moms who's an avid runner came up with the idea of doing a color run. So last year was our first one, and it was a huge success, so we're really excited to be doing it for the second year.
You can get more details and the ticket link to sign up at 1013coolfm.com. Why do you do things like these, for, like the color run?
So as you see, we're in our new gym here. There's a lot of equipment required for cheerleading, and it's definitely not cheap. So all of the proceeds from the color run will be going towards equipment for our new gym here. We raised $3,500 last year, so all of that has gone towards equipment for this new gym, and the proceeds from this year will be going towards that as well.
Well, hopefully we can raise like $5,000.
That would be awesome.
And if you have an event you would like to feature on What's Happening, email me, jmarshall@stingray.com.
Joined in studio now by Lakeland Athletic Director as well as the President of the CCAA, Al Rogan. Al, thanks for joining us. That's probably the second part of the title is not something that many people in town probably know, hey?
No, it's a role I took on last year. President of the CCAA is a 2-year term, so renewable for another term. But yeah, so I'll be moving to my second year of the term, and yeah, it's been a good first year. Nothing too taxing to deal with, but yeah, it's just more experience, more knowledge. You get to learn what other people around the country are doing.
Yeah. And so fortunately for you, as you were saying off camera, you get to spend your time still in Lloyd. You have too many other things, obviously, with the wrestlers to take care of. What's the main part of your role as president that you, in terms of just kind of coordinating between different people that are in charge of different departments, or is it just sort of mentoring people kind of up and coming?
It's sort of being, I guess, the main face of the National College Sport Organization and working with our executives, so sort of leading that group. We have an office staff of 4. My main role is to work with our CEO in Ottawa, who kind of does the day-to-day operations of the CCAA and just making sure we're moving down the right direction. So working on things like strategic plans and a lot of the administrative stuff that people aren't crazy about, but it's all experience, it's all good.
And one of the things that you've seen happen recently that's certainly big news for those of folks who wanted to see this in Manitoba is the MCAC. Am I getting that acronym correct?
You betcha, the Manitoba College Athletic Conference.
Yeah, and they are going to finally join the CCAA, which is something that's been kind of rumored, I guess, for a couple of years. People had kind of wondered why, for a long time, why they weren't in the CCAA when you have the Maritimes, which is essentially a similar size conference and similar smaller population base, also in the CCAA. So why the move now? And I'm sure it's an exciting one. Why the move now, and what does this mean going forward for the other conferences?
Manitoba's been asking and inquiring about joining the CCAA for a number of years now. A few years ago, they inquired, and and credit to them, they felt they weren't ready. They didn't feel all their institutions were prepared to be a member of the CCAA, so they went back, they did a little more work, and it's been about a 2-year process, the application phase. And then now they've been voted in on a probationary status. So the next 2 years they won't have access to national championships, but they'll have to follow our processes, our rules. They'll be competing against some of our teams exhibition-wise. And then in year 3, if things progress through and they meet all the expectations over the first couple years, then they'll have access to national championships. Okay. It'll definitely elevate the competitive level of our conference. We know that of the National Association, we know like Lakeland, for example, has a number of student athletes that come out of Manitoba, out of the province of Manitoba. And some pretty talented kids that come to Lakeland. And it's just more student athletes having access to a national championship throughout the country. So, around our national meetings last week, everybody's pretty excited about seeing another conference join. And Manitoba many years ago, back in the early 80s, was actually part of the CCAA, and they departed that time, and so now they're back.
And that's obviously going to change the competitive balance in some sports like volleyball, basketball, where down the road you have less wildcards.
Yeah, you bet. Right now, they've only applied to get into the sports of soccer and volleyball, not basketball at this point in time. They didn't feel they were ready for that application, but down the road, possibly. So what's probably going to happen is there'll be one less wild card because each conference ends up with a opportunity to send one team to compete. But there still will be a wild card in both soccer and volleyball in both genders. So we'll see how it goes. I think in time we'll probably look at how we structure national championships as a national association, but one step at a time.
One step at a time indeed, but one big step certainly for Manitoba and the athletes situated there.
Once again, we are back here at Norelta Jiu-Jitsu, where we've been talking with Dave Woods. Now he has over 30 years of experience in martial arts and has opened a school here at Norelta Jiu-Jitsu. They offer tons of different classes from a whole bunch of different age ranges looking to get into martial arts. And we've also talked today about their Keychain Self-Defense program that is going on here this Sunday. And he did a little demo with this tool of opportunity here. And we talked again about a few different techniques, even just a quick wrap on the knuckles here. And I'm not even putting a lot of weight in, and it does hurt quite a bit. So we did the demo with Tyler wearing the gloves, and again also showed a little bit about those pressure points, digging it into the hand, and we are going to have some more about those pressure points coming up here in the next hour, where he's going to show it off a little bit on me. So we're going to have more on that coming up here, but first we'll go back into the studio where Connor and Abby are going to wrap up the first hour of tonight's news.
All right, thanks very much, Eric. Taking a look at regional temperatures for tomorrow, mostly 16 degrees for the daytime high, as well as in other areas of the region here. Maidstone also sitting at 16, along with North Battleford, Vermilion, Wainwright, and Provost. 15 for Macklin, Edmonton tomorrow as well. St. Paul also sitting at 16, 19 degrees in Bonnyville and Cold Lake, 20 degrees for Pierceland tomorrow, 22 for Meadow Lake, 23 for Green Lake, 25 for Isle Cross, and 18 degrees out in Lac La Biche tomorrow, along with 16 degrees for Vegreville as well. As we take a look at the next 48 hours of precipitation, it's going to continue on over the next couple of days here. As you can see, the red area out in further west, it's going to possibly be over 45 millimeters of rain. But for us here in Lloydminster, we could possibly see around 25 millimeters to 30 even around for the next couple of days or so. As you can see, by Friday at 3 p.m. there, we could possibly see that 30 millimeters, of showers expected here. But here's a look at the next 7 days. Of course, those numbers are going to be fairly in the rain favor, as it's 76% chance of rain for tomorrow with a high of 16 there. High of 20 for Friday with 60% chance of some showers there with a low there of 10. 19 degrees for Saturday with a 64% chance of some rain there, and 20 degrees for Sunday, where we could possibly have a little bit of a break, but still cloudy skies.